Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife Hayes, and this is a beginner's guide to Warhammer 40k, Part 4. So far, we've looked at the armies themselves, the modelling and painting aspect of the hobby, and the data sheets for your models. Now, we're going to look at points. If you and I agree to have a game of Warhammer 40k, how do we know the forces we bring will be equally balanced? If I turn up with 10 Space Marines and you have 20 Terminators and a few tanks, you're going to win. Maybe we could agree to a model limit, say 30 models each. But if you then turn up with 30 Marines and I turn up with 30 tanks, I'm going to win. How do we balance it to make sure each player has an equal chance of winning? Well, we use the point system, and here's how it works. Everything in your army will cost a certain amount of points to include. The more powerful models will cost more points. Generally speaking, each model is divided down into two point-based parts. The body of the model itself, such as a single Space Marine, and then the war gear that model is carrying, the equipment and weapons. Remember the data sheets from the last video? This will tell you what war gear each model comes with as standard, and then any additional war gear they may replace their gear with or take in addition. To work out the points cost of a single model, larger unit or entire army, it's simply a case of working out and assigning point values for each physical model body and then the war gear they are carrying. Let's go through some examples. Last video we looked at the datasheet for a tactical squad. It tells us this squad is made up of 1 Space Marine Sergeant and 4 Marines. It can include an additional 5 Marines to a total of 10. Let's keep it simple and go with the basic 5, 1 Sergeant and 4 Space Marines. Then the datasheet tells us each Marine is equipped with a bolt gun, bolt pistol, frag grenades and crack grenades. This is the war gear each model has to take as standard. You have no choice, you must equip this. In the back of your codex there will be a points list, showing first the cost of the base model, then the cost of the individual pieces of war gear. If we go through the Space Marine Codex, we will find the following. In the Troops section of the Codex point list, we can see a single tactical squad Space Marine without war gear costs 13 points. Then in the Equipment list, we'll find the cost of all the war gear. A bolt gun costs 0, a bolt pistol is 0, and frag and crack grenades are also both 0. In this specific case, the war gear won't cost us anything extra. So add together all the points for both the base model and additional war gear, and you'll have your points cost for the unit. A squad of 4 tactical Space Marines and 1 Sergeant will cost you 65 points. That was remarkably simple. 5 models, low points cost, and no additional price for the war gear, which was lucky. But what if we make it a bit more complicated and include some choice? This is a Deathwatch Redemptor Dreadnought, and the datasheet lets us know the following. It is a single model equipped with a heavy onslaught Gatling cannon, a heavy flamer, 2 Fragstorm grenade launchers, and a Redemptor fist. Knowing this, we can work out the points cost. The table in the back tells me the base cost of the model itself is 140. The onslaught Gatling cannon is 16, a heavy flamer costs 17, a Fragstorm grenade launcher costs 4, but we have 2 of them for a total cost of 8, and the Redemptor fist costs 0. Knowing the cost of the war gear, a standard issue Deathwatch Redemptor Dreadnought will cost us 181 points to include in our army. However, that might not be the cost we pay, as the datasheet also tells us the following. A Redemptor Dreadnought may replace its heavy flamer with another onslaught Gatling cannon. It may replace its original Gatling cannon with a macro plasma incinerator. It may replace both Fragstorm grenade launchers with 2 storm bolters, and it may take an Icarus rocket pod. Knowing we have a level of customization, let's build something a bit different. I'm not a fan of flamers, so I'll replace the flamer with another Gatling cannon. Then I will replace the original Gatling cannon with a macro plasma incinerator. I'll swap the Fragstorm grenade launchers out for 2 storm bolters, and I'll include the Icarus rocket pod. Now we have a different set of war gear. All we have to do is find the new costs, add them together, and we have the new point cost of the unit. The back of the codex tells me the following. A Gatling cannon costs 16, a macro plasma incinerator is 31, 2 Stormbolters are 4 in total, 2x2, and the Icarus rocket pod costs 6, for a total of 197 points. Outfitting the model like this is more expensive, but that's simply because it's now carrying more powerful war gear. Now you know how points work, you can agree to a point limit for your battle. Most smaller battles happen from 500 to 1,000 points. 1,000 to 2,000 is a larger scale skirmish, and over 2,000 is a very large battle. Now we've covered points, let's look at Battleforged Armies. If you and I agree to a 1,000 point game, could I turn up with 5 of those well-equipped Redemptor Dreadnoughts we just discussed? At 197 points each, I'd be bringing a force worth 985 points, so that's well within our 1,000 point limit. Technically, yes, I could do this. However, I'd be placing myself into a huge disadvantage, because I'd be losing out on command points. In the main rulebook on page 243, you'll see the rule for Battleforged Armies. This is a way of building your army to reflect the actual military composition of the 40k universe. It keeps forces varied, allows you to use a variety of different units, and rewards you with command points if you meet certain army composition criteria. Command points are then used to cause powerful special effects to happen at various points in the game. A Battleforged army can only contain models of the same faction. Factions are listed in the Keywords section of a model's datasheet. We looked briefly at these in the last video. If your army is Battleforged, all from the same faction, it will start the game with 3 command points. Let's take a look at some of the additional Battleforged options. This is the required criteria to be classified as a battalion detachment. Your army must contain 2 to 3 models classified as HQs and 3 to 6 troop units. These are the battlefield roles shown in the top left-hand corner of the datasheet. A battalion may then also contain 0 to 6 elite units, up to 3 fast attack, 3 heavy support, and 2 flyers, although these are optional and not required. If your army meets the criteria for being a battalion, you will start the game with 5 additional command points, shown here. It's not just battalions, there are many more specific army builds. A brigade detachment must fulfill the on-screen criteria, but will allow you to start with 9 additional command points. It's a complex army to make and build, but the rewards are worth it. Command points have loads of varied effects, and the main rulebook lists every stratagem they can activate, and your army's specific codex will contain many more. But the most useful is the command point reroll, which simply allows you to reroll any single dice for 1 command point. In a game where you win or lose by dice rolls, the ability to reroll a failed roll is a very overpowered skill, and the more command points you have, the more rerolls you'll be able to do. So now you know how to find the point cost of an individual model, a unit, and your complete army. It is the model base cost plus the war gear. And you've got a basic idea of what sort of army composition you should be looking to build by following a Battleforged guide. You'll know how many HQs, troops, elites, flyers, and so on to include. You will now have an army, glued and painted. You'll have studied your codex and know what the datasheet says for each model, and your force will be varied enough to hit one of the many Battleforged varieties. You're now ready to go to war. In the next video, we'll look at playing the game, starting with the first of the phases, the movement phase. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or feedback, then leave a comment below or come chat to me live on Twitch over at twitch.tv/Josh Strife Hayes. There's also a Discord link in the description if you'd like to come and join our ever-growing community. And as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.